From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Wednesday, June 15th. Plenty of sunshine today. Once again, though, monitoring that extreme heat. Temperatures will get into the mid-90s with heat index values in the triple digits again. Tonight, mostly clear skies. A chance of an isolated early morning shower with low temperatures to be in the mid to upper 70s. Air quality is once again an issue. IDEM declares a statewide air quality action day 2 days in a row now, so breathing may be difficult for children, the elderly, and anyone with a heart condition because of high ozone levels. The state asks people to drive less, avoid putting gas in cars until after 7 tonight, and conserve energy at home. And the city is reminding everyone of a fun way to beat the heat, the splash pads it offers. City leaders say 17 splash pads and 10 family centers are free and open. 6 Indy Parks pools are also open. Those are Bethel, Frederick Douglass, Garfield, Perry, Thatcher, and Willard Parks. A lifeguard shortage has kept the others closed.
We hope to open at least 1 or 2 more by this coming weekend. As we're filling pools, we're also finding some maintenance issues for several that need to be rectified before we can get them open.
Leaders urge you to stay hydrated and take breaks often while enjoying splash pads or pools. The city says if you need non-emergency resources or shelter, you can call Indiana 211. Several cooling centers across the state will reopen again today. Just head to wishtv.com. You'll find this story in the As Seen on Wish TV section. And there we have a full list of locations with times and addresses. And a local expert is offering advice on how to avoid heat stroke. The CDC says heat stroke happens when your body stays too hot for too long, and eventually your body reaches a point where its ability to regulate temperature shuts down. That can cause seizures, organ failure, and even death. We spoke with the medical director of Indianapolis EMS about the symptoms you should look out for.
It first starts off with heat cramp, where someone may feel like some aching and spasms in their muscles. Then it can progress to something called heat exhaustion, where people are just not feeling well in the heat, feeling nauseous potentially. Sometimes people even potentially pass out. When we reach heat stroke, the defining feature is that they're not acting themselves. They're confused. They have altered mental status. And so when that happens, that's a medical emergency, and we need people to call 911 and start cooling right away.
He also says keep watch for headaches, increased heart rate, and slurred speech. He recommends keeping your kids indoors and checking on your elderly neighbors. An IMPD says a child likely drowned at an apartment complex pool. Officers responded to Abney Lake Apartments near 38th and Guyon yesterday afternoon. Police say the child was pulled from the pool, taken to a nearby hospital, and later died. Police haven't released any other information about what may have happened. And IMPD says a man is in critical condition after a shooting on the city's north side. Officers initially responded to 46th and Keystone Avenue just after 11 last night. Around the same time, officers received a call of a shooting at Arsenal Park on Indianola Avenue. Officers searched the area and found a man shot inside a vehicle at the Regions Bank on Keystone. Police think the 2 calls are related.
Okay. So we're just thinking it's probably the Regions Bank business office. And if you look, it's pretty close to coming down from Indianola. It's just a couple of streets over and come down 46 and probably the first place they thought to pull over and call for an ambulance and the police.
Investigators haven't released a description of the suspect. Gas prices are slowly and slightly dropping across Indiana. According to Gas Buddy, the state's average price right now is $5.20 a gallon. That's down almost 4 cents from last week, but it's still $2.16 more than this same time last year. Indiana still stands at the 9th most expensive state in the country. President Biden is making a new effort to calm fears surrounding the economy. Biden acknowledged the pain of higher prices during a speech in Philadelphia yesterday. It comes ahead of today's anticipated interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve. Analysts predict rates are going up 0.75 of a percentage point to combat inflation. That would be the biggest increase since 1994.
Gas is up and food is up, which we're going to get down come hell or high water. Jobs are back, but prices are still too high. COVID is down, but gas prices are up.
And critics worry the interest rate hike and several others that may follow will slow down the economy enough to cause a recession. And the White House is insisting the president's planned trip to the Middle East is not tied to energy issues. The visit includes a meeting with Saudi Arabia's crown prince next month. U.S. intelligence believes Mohammed bin Salman authorized the murder of journalist and Indiana State grad Jamal Khashoggi. During his presidential campaign, Biden branded Saudi Arabia a pariah over its human rights record. The White House says Biden will outline his affirmative vision for U.S. engagement in the region. It also notes that Saudi Arabia has been a strategic partner with the U.S. for nearly 8 decades. Technical issues are blamed for postponing today's rescheduled January 6th hearing by the committee investigating the Capitol riot. It was set to focus on the Department of Justice today. That agenda will now likely move to sometime next week. Tomorrow's scheduled hearing is supposed to narrow in on any efforts by former President Donald Trump to pressure then Vice President Mike Pence to refuse certifications of election results. That hearing starts at 1 in the afternoon. Security protections for Supreme Court justices will now extend to their immediate families. Justices themselves are covered by federal security protection under U.S. Code. The House passed the bill yesterday, allowing around-the-clock security for immediate family members if the Supreme Court's marshal decides protection is needed. This comes 1 week after police arrested a man carrying a gun, knife, and zip ties near Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house. Police say he threatened to kill Kavanaugh after a leaked draft opinion suggested the court could strike down Roe v. Wade. The Justice Department charged the man with attempting or threatening to kidnap or murder a U.S. judge.
If a state decides that they wish to do a red flag law like Florida has, like Indiana has, 2 good red states, then this bill makes sure that they have due process.
A bipartisan agreement on gun safety gets a momentum boost. You just heard from Senator Bill Cassidy, who is one of 10 Senate Republicans backing the bill. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell announced his support yesterday, and senators hope to pass the bill by the July 4th recess. Here's Senator Chris Murphy.
The public wants red flag laws, the ability to take guns away from people who are threatening suicide or mass slaughter. They support closing the boyfriend loophole to make sure that all domestic abusers can't then go buy a gun. These are popular mainstream proposals, and I think we're going to get them down into paper this week. We're going to try to get this passed before we leave town for the July 4th recess, and I hope we'll have a big bipartisan vote.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says as soon as there is a formal bill, he'll send it to the full chamber as soon as possible. The FDA Vaccine Advisory Panel will consider authorizing Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccines for children under 5 years old. If a vote passes, the CDC will then decide if it agrees. Recent documents from the FDA show the shots are safe and effective for children 6 months to 5 years old. The White House has said vaccines for the young children could be available by next week. And then in yesterday's talks, the panel approved Moderna's vaccine for emergency use in 6 to 17 years old. The amount of COVID relief money lost to fraud has passed a major milestone. As of March, the Department of Justice says criminals have scammed people out of $1.1 billion. It's been more than a year now since the DOJ launched a campaign to crack down on the fraud. It's charged more than 1,500 people with fraud and has open investigations into thousands more. If you feel like you were a victim or someone attempted to scam you, you can report it to the DOJ's National Center for Disaster Fraud hotline. Since the pandemic began, the federal government has spent $5 trillion on COVID relief. And a warning for parents to not let babies sleep in certain kinds of rockers after several infants have died while using the products. The issue is with the Fisher-Price infant to toddler and newborn to toddler rockers. Fisher-Price and Consumer Product Safety Commission say at least 13 children have died between 2009 and 2021. The company says babies should never be allowed to sleep in the rockers. It recommends parents watch videos on its Safe Start website for tips on how to use the product safely. And finally, the Indiana State Fair is adding more shows and stars to the free stage lineup. The fair says Jesse McCartney, Travis Tritt, and Vixen and Autograph will all be performing. McCartney will be there on Saturday, July 30th. Tritt is set to take the stage Friday, August 5th. And the popular 80s rock band Vixen and Autograph will perform on Saturday, August 20th. The State Fair says all of the shows will start at 7:30 at night. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com. And follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.